what's R.O.A.M networking? R-O-A-M. Now, in short, it's just a tool that can be applied to any social setting. This is not something that's ultra groundbreaking or a face-melting strategy. It's just a simple, helpful tool, and I'll share with you what's really personal to me, and you might not believe it, but it's true. I am an introvert. I do have a mild case of social anxiety that I've been able to keep at bay by the grace of God for a long time. And the reality is I can thrive in a social setting, but for a long time it was constantly so mentally draining for me. Okay, so I use R.O.A.M networking as a tool to simply provide me with little reminders of how to be better at having conversations with people, and it also helps me get to know people better, to understand their goals, and just create a deeper connection. And it stands for reality, occupation, activities, and motivation. Okay, so I'll break these four down in R.O.A.M for you right now. Now, it starts with reality, right? And reality specifically as it pertains to where are they at in life, whether that's geographically, are they married, single, kids, no kids, what's their worldview? This also includes who's within their sphere of influence, networking, right? And this one question it sparks is, so how did you two meet, right? If it's someone I'm speaking to that's in a group or there's two people, I even asked this of a pair of twins that were in business together, investing in real estate. I said, hey, how'd you guys meet? And I didn't even realize they were fraternal twins. So I tried to play it off as a joke. Hey, they thought it was funny though, by the way. But like I said, I'm an introvert. Why else would I need a tool to do what most people just do naturally, right? So the second is occupation. Now, occupation, it is what they do, but it's also a reminder for me to ask, if I didn't already discover this when I was talking about the reality, what they do, and to ask them, is that what you want to do until you retire, right? Are you happy with your career? Whether they're an accountant and they love it, or maybe they're looking for a career change. I know a couple of accountants who are looking for career changes. So they actually could even be a real estate investor, and maybe they're ready to stop actively flipping houses in the near future, right? They could say, yeah, I love being a real estate investor, but this isn't really what I want to do. In fact, this happens a lot. And they may say, I really just want to move to the passive investing side of the business. And they would be familiar with that, of course. And as I mentioned, it happens a lot. And in this specific example, you as a real estate investor, if you are a real estate investor, you already understand how you can help them, right? As far as acquisition of private monies. Now, the truth is, in a different scenario, you may not be able to, right? You may not be able to help in any way. It depends on what the person does and what their reality is, and that's fine. But one important thing that really resonates with me about this whole R.O.A.M networking thing is seeking to serve and placing significance on other people's goals and challenges will help you make better connections, okay? And it'll also keep the conversation going as you're sparked with each letter R-O-A, right? A stands for activities. So what do they do for fun? What do they enjoy doing? I'll tell you, the drudgery of talking shop continuously. I'm guilty of this. I could talk about three things nonstop, okay? Jesus, real estate, and video production. You will lose me when it comes to sports. It's not that I don't like sports, I just don't follow it. So, honestly. But hooray for the 50-yard slap shot that scored a slam dunk in the outside lane on the third. That was awesome. So more often than not, real estate bores the crap out of people who aren't interested in it at all. And this section always reminds me to weave into the conversation things like, say they're a doctor. And yes, I use this exact quote to transition. I'll say, okay, so when you're not saving the world one person at a time, what do you do? Right? Talking about their activities. Now, from understanding what they enjoy doing for fun, and in combination with what their occupation is, thinking of activities also reminds me to possibly discover what that person might be really good at, right? And this is where you can kind of keep the conversation going as well and build rapport by just letting them talk about what they're really good at. Sometimes it really is cool. And even understanding how they can possibly help you is something you might learn when they talk about what they're really good at. For instance, right now, usually by the time I get to this part of the conversation, I would have learned a little bit more about their career, their life, what they enjoy, and have a pretty good picture about what they might be good at, or possibly how they could actually help me. Now, this is true of whether or not it's a paid service, and that's fine, right? If they're a doctor and I'm speaking to them, they're like, oh, I'll hook you up with a discount, come see me, like a chiropractor. But sometimes it's as easy as simply asking, like, hey, what are you good at? Say they're in real estate, okay? And this is an example of this. They say, man, I'm really good at underwriting deals, right? But I suck at talking on the phone. Maybe you're good at talking on the phone with sellers, but you're really not that great at underwriting deals because the spreadsheets and the numbers, it's just like, it's very draining for you. You know, if you're in a place in your business where you're scaling too, both scenarios, that can really benefit you, and you may never have discovered that if you simply didn't ask, right? So that's one way in which I use the A. Now for the M, of course, it stands for motivation. This is more in alignment with what are their goals, what motivates them, what drives them. This helps me to remember to be curious also about why they got in the business that they're in. And it sparks me to ask them how they got to where they are, both personally and professionally, and of course, where they desire to get to in life. Now, not always just as it pertains to business, obviously, right? When I know someone's goals, I can gauge whether or not I'd be able to potentially help them. And that for that reason, it's for this reason, because again, seeking to serve and placing significance on other people's goals and challenges will absolutely help you build deeper relationships, gain better connections, and it'll also help expose opportunities for you to possibly be the solution that they're looking for, as in the niche of real estate, right? If somebody's looking for a better return on their investment, you have that opportunity to put their money to work for them. So using R.O.A.M networking can help make you better connections so you can identify people who have an interest in potentially lending on your transactions. And when you do discover that someone is interested, simply set a date and time aside, so that you can talk about it more. And that is to say that this isn't sales, okay? So I wouldn't really recommend trying to have or give a private money lender presentation on the spot to people that you just met. And that is even if they express a really deep interest about it, because it is about building relationships, right? And those relationships can, of course, be professional, but you also want to connect with them personally as well. Now, the next order of business for us here is to first really understand why to use private money lenders. So in this series, we've covered a few things already, right? We've gone through answering a few questions, and that is, what is private money lending? Who is a private money lender, or who can be? Like, we broke it down in its simplest form, the way to communicate it. And when we answered who's a private money lender, we talked about where you can find private money lenders. And in this video, we put a nice little bow on all of that by providing some practical verbiage and sharing some scenarios, right? But there are a few more points to cover about private money lending, notwithstanding how to conduct a private money lender meeting. And before we point you to how to conduct the actual private money lender meeting, I think you really should get to know my friend Amy Majuri, who has been my coach, teacher, mentor, trainer, not only for real estate investing in general, but specifically for how to discuss private money lending. She's allowed me to provide you with her free resource. Okay, she is the queen of private money lending. She is a TV star of HGTV's House Hunters. She's a national speaker. She's been sharing the same stage with titans like Robert Kiyosaki, just to name one of them, okay? People in the real estate industry who are movers and shakers. And she gave us a shout out in our testimonial playlist. You can check that out too. But she's providing for you a 20-second private money power pitch. It's linked in the description below for you. And no, I didn't cover this in this video. And yes, it is appropriately named. It is a power pitch. So I strongly recommend that you just check that out, linked in the description below. And I do, Amy, if you're watching this, I want to give you a personal thank you on behalf of everybody, because I can guarantee you, audience, that I know that as soon as you dive into what she has to share, you're going to be thanking her too, okay? And of course, it is also very important to be crystal clear on the next topic in this private money lending series, and that is exactly what we're going to cover in this video right here. Why to use private money lenders in the first place. So this is the next video in the series, so click right here and we will see you in that video, okay? Just click right there.